wondering if you would make videos in the future about finding out who an attacker may be and how to do curse breaking. There doesn't seem to be a lot of information on the topic of effective curse breaking in general. Now, I will handle how to do a curse breaking, how to break a curse as opposed to reversing a curse, which I covered in my most recent video. I'll cover that in a separate video because that deserves a more lengthy discussion. Sometimes you will never know. Sometimes the exact identity of who that is not always as important as identifying maybe that it has happened and then how to resolve it. In some cases, it will always stay an unknown. And even if you have lots of candidates or there is a plausible candidate, you will never be sure unless you catch them red-handed. You have to make peace with that fact that you don't have to know who it was in order for it to be resolved. Now, having said that, it is often very important to know what has been done. Even though you don't know who may have done it, it is important to know what has been done. And a competent spiritual worker will also often be able to tell you how it has been done, right? So the kind of magical work that was used, what kind of spirits were used, what kind of magical modality was maybe used. And that information can be very helpful in breaking the curse or reversing the curse. Sometimes it is necessary to know what has been done so that you can devise a good remedy that is appropriate to that. Similarly, of course, a competent reader often can also give a description of who that person is. I know because I sometimes do it. A client will come to me and I have methods, I have techniques, both clairvoyant and more structured divinatory tools that I use to give sort of concrete descriptors for that kind of for the person who might be the attacker. And in fact, in my new book, The Divine Gypsy Mother, that will be published by Scarlet Imprint late spring, early summer, I have a chapter dealing with divining on black magic, and I give a technique in there for coming to a description of that person, right? And so a good reader will know how to do this, and it really depends on whether you yourself have that skill. There's a bit more that I want to add to this, which is a lot of people think they are cursed when they have not been cursed. And in fact, the vast majority of people that come to me who are scared that they are the subject of some sort of witchcraft, when I look at the case, I don't see that. I honestly don't see that. It's often there is another explanation. Sometimes the explanation is a spiritual explanation, and sometimes the explanation is what you might call karma or bad luck. You know, there are lots of people on this planet who go through terrible things, have runs of terrible ill health, bad luck, and that all just comes at the same time. And it's not because of black magic necessarily. Yeah, sometimes this is just what life throws at a person. It is important and part of the human condition, you could say. There are also other spiritual causes that could have a similar kind of effect. One spiritual cause that comes to mind is that a person could be around areas, places, or near objects that have a corrosive spiritual influence. Just that there is a psychic influence there that is highly corrosive. Yeah. So, for example, certain places, unsavory places, nightclubs, sex clubs, brothels, gambling dens, psychiatric hospitals, graveyards and so on. Those are places where there can be a lot of corrosive psychic energy, and if you frequent that kind of place, and if you are a sensitive type of person, you might be able to pick up that corrosive influence, and it could affect you in a way that is similar to what we might normally think of as black magic. Another possible source of the problem that is somewhat related to the idea of black magic is the evil eye. And this is when, someone, often this can be a relative in many cases, but it can also be a friend or a neighbor or someone else who has a certain, you might say, a propensity for the evil eye. They look at you jealously, they look at you with envy, with some malice in their heart, and that can have a negative spiritual effect, right? That is somewhat similar to a black magic. And it's not always necessarily due to the conscious intention of the person who's the source of the evil eye. It might be that it's happening unconsciously on their part, but that is something that happens, especially between relatives. This is something that can be quite powerful. A husband and their spouse, a parent and a child, that kind of energy where the one gets envious or jealous of the other one can be very powerfully corrosive. That's similar. Then of course we have the category of spirit harm, where you might in fact have some kind of spirit attached to you, and that can be a nature spirit or a spirit of the dead, something that you unwittingly irritated, annoyed, bothered, or interfered with, or just you were unlucky enough to be around that thing at that moment in time that it kind of attacked you and glommed onto you, or did some kind of had some spiritual corrosive power over you that now is manifesting as this curse-like activity. So it's also very important to find a reader or to have the skills and the knowledge to discern which of these things might be the cause of your problem, because it can be helpful then to devise a remedy based on the specific cause, and then that remedy is likely to be far more successful than, say, just a general cleansing. So specificity with the divination, specificity with the reading with that is an important part, I would say, more so than needing to know exactly who it is. I hope that's helpful to you. Remember to like and to subscribe, and remember that you're welcome to leave a comment, ask a question down in the comments below. It was nice being again with you today, and talk to you soon.